Yeah, I was about to say that.
We can set all the tuning on it here for the valves.
Okay.
And the injectors. Because if you're going to pull it out, you'll need to know how to set valves and injectors to get it back in.
Right.
Nothing else that is an adjustment for that should be messed with. Because if when the governor comes off to do the blow work, it's not that you're changing anything inside of that. It's just bolt it off, take it off, and bolt it back on.
Can we pull one injector and put it back in?
We can.
Okay. I just, because I have to reseat all those. I got to get some of those crush rings for the injectors.
Doesn't have any.
Gene said there was copper crush rings.
Isn't the tube what it seals on?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
it seals right to the injector tube. Okay, okay.
Yep. These use the injector cup as their seal.
Okay.
That's what I'm wondering if we will end up having to pull that head.
No, Gene said that if I got it down like 10 extra pounds to the spec torque,
Yeah.
that would, that would at least resolve it temporarily. At some point, I'm going to have to do more major surgery, but
Probably if you heat it up and then torque them, it'll help too, because if the metal's warm, you get more crush on it. Fire it up first. Warm it up.
squeaky.
It's actually a way too if you have a copper crush seal, like a brake one.
Yeah.
If you're in a pinch and you have to reuse it, heat it up
Heat
with
it
the
up.
torch first, and it stops it from rework hardening it, so it'll reseal again. I mean, replace them every time you can, but if you're ever stuck in a pinch and have to reuse one,
Isn't copper the material that if you quench it, it resoftens it?
yeah. Yep, because it'll start work hardening as soon as you crank it down.
Yeah.
Alright. So, we've gone all the way around. Just pick a cylinder, any cylinder, and we'll take that one and we'll tear it apart, put it back together.
Which one would you say?
It's up to you.
All right, let's go with this one.
Alright.
I'm gonna time you, Tyler.
It's like,
let's
it's like
see
I
it.
can pull a Volkswagen engine in like 27 minutes.
Yeah, I can't do that, but I can get these injectors back out.
Exactly.
You ever
All
see
right.
the car shows where they used to time people to pull the Beetle engine out, put it back in, and run it?
We did that. We do that a lot at some of the shows I go to.
Yeah.
All right. So I got some toys. These, I don't know if these are.
Yep. So this one and that one are going to be your for this. So the small one here is the one that does the square part
Yep.
on the push rod.
Okay.
This one is the one for your jam nut.
Okay.
Oh, that makes it so much easier.
Now, the jam nut ones, because it's facing towards you this way,
Right.
it's almost just as easy to use a regular wrench.
Okay.
But if the valve train was flipped around, these are your friend like on a V series.
So valve train's in front on the.
The adjustment's all towards you on this one, so with
a
the
lot
jam
easier.
nut, you're usually a little easier to use a regular wrench.
So I've got the feeler gauges for the tuning.
Oh, you got the go no go stepped ones too. Those are nice.
That's what Rodney set me up, man. Rodney's
Yeah.
like, these are the ones you want. So, and then that was next to impossible to find.
Yeah, you got to get lucky. So start with there.
Okay.
Pop all 4 of your fuel jumpers loose.
Okay.
Take these off. Now, if this wasn't an HV injector, there are 2 different sizes. But because this has the HV injectors, those are the same. So on your other bus, they will be different. They'll be a long and a short, but they're very clearly different when you go to use them.
So, just pull this baby off, eh?
Yep. I usually crack them all loose and get them to where I can do them by hand and take them off my fingers. Usually takes 1 or 2 turns to get them that loose.
Is that a snap-on socket, that one?
Icon.
Oh, the socket.
Oh, the socket. Yeah,
Yeah.
socket is.
Yeah, I should get the number
So-
off that, because I'm going to need one.
Yeah, don't try to make your own. I did that once, and it just kept opening up around.
It's not strong enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rodney.
When you pick them up or find them on eBay, grab them.
Yeah, Rodney was out looking for something one day, and he sent me a text. He's like, "Go grab this now." And I'd been looking for a while, and finally found it.
Well, Rodney, if you're watching this, find me another one.
The other
Wait
thing,
till he buys a bus first.
the other thing you want to see when you find them is the snap-on dial gauge set injectors.
Yeah, rather than the
They don't
pins.
work on these HVs. The rockers are too tall for them,
Okay.
but regular injectors like your N70s, as long as you don't have Jake brakes, they work.
Okay. Are we done yet?
No, hang on. I'm gonna get it done right, not quickly and wrong.
Quickly and right's an option. By the time you get all of yours done in your the last one's gonna go really fast. You'll have it down.
Oh, I'm sure. Keep in mind my left hand is all screwed up right now too.
Yeah, that's the part that sucks when you get it wrapped all the way around like that. So one thing you need to watch out for though is sometimes those will break when you go to retighten them because those bolts are hollow.
Oh.
That's what delivers the oil up to the rocker shaft.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, sometimes you'll go to torque them and right about the time they get near the 95 foot-pounds, it'll just get soft for a sec and then snap them.
Yeah. If you feel it go soft, just stop and back it out.
If you can still get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get the rocker shaft out and then take the old piece of the bolt. You can usually stick it down in there and turn it out once it's...
Okay.
If nothing else, it's already drilled with a hole in the center for an oil passage, so it's ready for an extractor.
Perfect.
Just put these right here for right now.
So once you get them up like this is going to seem weird, but take them,
Yep.
pick them up, and then they snap back over themselves. Sometimes you'll hear a little bit of a pop. That's the springs compressing inside of the lifters.
Popping out.
Yep. Not popping out, it just pops over itself to go down, but that way they're out of the way.
Okay.
You have access. So there's your 9/16 for your injector hold down. And I think those are
Ooh, lots of oil.
somewhere in the 20-ish foot-pound range, maybe like
Yeah,
25.
really tight.
It doesn't take much to hold them down in there.
So you got to reset the injector because when you retorque it, you might change the height on the injector.
Yeah, and you will a little bit, so you need to adjust them.
Right.
Sure.
All right, so just get that hooked up under the edge.
Yep. And just pop it right out.
Yep. So
Angle your GoPro down a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
So the trick is getting it back into the rack.
Yeah.
Let me go grab a rag real quick and wipe this down before we put it back in.
Okay.
So it's just a brass tube pressed in the head.
Yeah. So it's 4 bolts. Boy, that's pretty straightforward.
That's easy.
Nice thing about these things is they're just easy to get to.
Well,
I think I got that at all.
hopefully Phil's got my bus all set up nice for when we get there.
Yeah.
So there's your injector. Moves nice and freely.
Yep. Now I remember freeing these up.
Were they pretty nasty?
A couple of them were.
It's been over 30 years since they worked.
Yeah, and give them a whack and stuff. All right. So now, what do you do? I guess explain the whole concept of how to tune with an injector.
So what you're going to be setting is your rocker height
Yeah.
in relation to the injector. So there's a little hole right here in the injector.
Okay.
That is where your pin sits down in.
All right.
And then the top surface of it should just scrape right across the top edge of this follower. So when you go to do the injector, you want your exhaust valves all the way down.
Okay.
When they're all the way down, then you set the fuel injector. So you adjust this rocker height at that point until it matches the gauge that you have.
And the gauge for
This one will be 1.460.
okay, and if it's offset, it's a
If
different.
it's advanced timing, it's 1.484
Okay.
on a 71 series.
So now I have a 2-step feeler gauge.
That is for your exhaust valves.
Okay, that's for setting the valves.
How do you know if your engine's advanced timing or stock?
Without pulling the gear train, which is the back half of the engine off, best bet you can do is
Check one before.
Just
you
check
pull it.
one before.
check a couple of them and see what they run closer to. You know, try to average them off there. Because the way to tell, you'd have to pull this housing off and check your gear timing to see where it's at.
Okay.
So I sat this back in here. When I did, wrench fell out of my pocket. It kind of comes down at an angle. You twist it in because you need it to grab the follower on this rack. So what I do when I'm done is just push on this backside and I'm moving the rack so I know that I'm seated. So that's down in there.
Let me try to do it. Seat it. So I bring it in
Yep, at an angle.
at an angle, twist
Yep.
it in.
Yeah, you got to clear the little feet on the rack.
And you need to make sure that's set correctly in the injector on that little foot.
So it comes out, comes in at an angle.
Yep. Now, you can't be that much of an angle because you've got your
Okay.
stud for the rocker there. But then you just need to feel around and make sure that you are sitting over this foot. So I pushed it down a little bit and had my fingertip in there and kind of wiggling it as I go to make sure we're lined up. And you'll feel it'll just at some point fall straight in like it's supposed to.
So it's not there. There it is. Okay. I get it.
So it should be all the way down right now.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like it's all the way down. I don't really recommend tapping on them or hitting them. They pretty well fall into their hole, but if you do that, I don't want to risk damaging the injector cup any.
Okay.
So it's down in there, and I'm pretty happy with where that's sitting. So I'll take this nut back off. Where did you put that injector hold down?
Just sit in the valve cover somewhere.
I put it back.
Nope, it's right here.
Yeah.
So these are different than how they're going to be on yours. The hold downs will look different,
Okay.
but they work the same. So that goes down over that shaft. And that's there. Yours is going to be wider and kind of go around the injector more and sit a lot lower.
Is that because it's a 4-valve?
No, it's because it's not an HV injector.
Oh.
The HV injectors are that way.
So now, I'll have to always stick with HV injectors for this particular head,
No, you can swap them.
but then I need to get a new.
You'll need injector hold downs. Those studs come out. You need a different center rocker because it doesn't use this style. It looks like these. And you need the new fuel lines.
Okay. So if I do go up, like I think these are 60s, right?
They're HV7s.
Which is like what's the translation?
They're low. I think they're like 55 or 60.
Okay.
I don't deal much with the HV injectors. Most people have retrofitted past them and run a newer injector. But next up's going to be to get the torque specs looked up, and we'll torque down that injector.
Okay. Gold injector clamp. Yeah. So Gene was suggesting for this other bus,
Yep.
because it's possibly leaking, that you could take it up to 35.
Yeah, I probably would go higher on that one, but for these, since we don't have any issues,
No. Yep.
it's set up for 25 foot-pounds.
Okay.
Now, when you have yours out too on that one, you're going to want to really clean out that injector bore and inspect it before you put anything down in there.
How do you propose? Just wipe it down, or?
Brake clean,
Okay.
some paper towel inside of there, try to clean up that entire injector cup, because you want to take a close look at it and make sure that you don't have any issues with that having a crack in it or
Right.
any major damage to them. It's not going to do any good to retorque them if there's damage to the cup.
Wow. What do I do if it's damaged?
You have to replace the cup. It clicked.
So replacing the cup means pulling the head, right?
Yeah, they get drove out from the bottom side.
So if I just need to get it home, what's a workaround to get it to like?
It's good.
Cracked, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's
Well, if it's cracked, but what if it's just the surface is not smooth?
it depends on how bad it is. If you can try to clean it up a little bit. I mean, it'd definitely be a temporary patch, but you'd have to see how bad the damage on it is. I mean, if there's a crack or a big chunk missing near the sealing surface or something, then
Yeah.
you have to drive it out, put a new one in.
Little JB weld?
Yeah, I would not try that.
All right.
All right.
So
Now that it's ready for that, take these, flip them back over, get them in place. Where do we
To the left.
the hold
Behind
down
that.
bolts?
what are you looking for? The hold down bolts are right there.
It's the fun part after you have these off is always.
Oh, getting them relined
Oh,
up.
they slide on the pins.
Yeah, that's
So take one, get it started, come back to this one, put it on. Then you can put it down in there. So those are 95 foot-pounds. So if you can get those ran up, I'll go get you a half-inch drive torque wrench so I can set those.
First thing we're going to do is unbolt these 4 and pay attention to where they are.
Also, when you're in there, you got to pay attention to where the washers are sitting on either side of this.
Okay.
I believe there's a thrust washer on either side. It's been a minute since I've taken one apart. Pay attention to where the washers are sitting before you pull this, because you need to make sure they go back in the same way.
Okay. Thrust washers.
Yeah, so you need to make sure that's right. Otherwise, that can stick the rack, or it'll stick the governor up.
Okay.
So pay attention to these bolts.
So those bolts.
I'll bolt it up here.
Have to take off the linkage.
I would probably take one of the through bolts off.
One of these through bolts. Okay.
Take the top cover off.
So take it off here or take the through bolts off?
Take these through bolts off. I wouldn't mess with that shaft adjustment, because getting that back can be a nightmare.
Yep. So undo it here.
Yep.
These 4 screws here.
Yep. And there's a little pin in here that's just going to lift up. It's just held in by gravity in the plate.
Okay.
So once that pin is out, take this out. I immediately set that pin back in place.
Okay. So the pin comes out, then you pull the rod out.
Then set the pin back in where it goes.
Okay.
Be careful not to drop anything or disturb anything inside of this governor. No adjustments need to be made for what you're going to do.
Okay.
Take it off, put it back on.
Okay.
Because little adjustments in here make a world of difference. So you really don't want to go messing with one, especially when you got to drive it.
Right.
Then this whole governor assembly, you're going to kind of tilt to get this fork out of here, lift out of your way.
So, fork. This?
No, inside of here. This governor has a rod that comes down. There's a fork that sticks out inside of here.
Okay. So then this whole assembly, because it's not connected here, what about this?
That on this one, it'll have to come off. I don't think you're running that same setup on your other one, but if you are, it would need to come off just to be able to get that out of there. This can get resealed with some RTV or silicone if you don't have a gasket for it.
Okay.
So once this is off and out of your way, the next thing you're going to do is get your water pump off. So this is just a donut gasket, basically, that's squeezed in.
Okay.
So take that off. The water pump can stay on. It'll go with it. You can swap it when it's off the bus.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Then coming over here, disconnect the 2 fuel lines. Leave the fuel pump. You can swap that when it's off the bus.
Okay.
Loosen up this clamp right here. And that kind of does it for stripping the blower.
Okay.
So the top hat has to come off the blower.
Okay.
And then you should just have 4 bolts on the top, 4 bolts on the bottom, and the blower can come off. Now the blower does hang right here on the shelf of the engine a little bit, but I would wait to pull the last bolt out until you're ready to lift it. Now when you go to do that, somebody's going to want to grab the blower, because you're going to take it up, out, and push it that way.
Okay.
What can hang you though is the dog bone. So when this goes to come out, since this is all one piece here, somebody's going to want to be on this side to make sure that the dog bone goes into the blower and doesn't try to hang out of the motor. So it's a steel drive shaft with threads on either side. That's what drives your blower.
Okay.
It's about, it's that long. So if it sticks in the engine side and doesn't come out with the blower, you've got to try to pull this tube all the way over to here. So if it's not going with, just have someone grab it and shove it back in the blower and come out with it.
Okay.
And
so
then,
it all goes this way.
Yep.
All goes to the left.
Up
to the
and at an
driver's
angle
side.
that way.
Okay.
And then it's out. So once it's out, then you can start swapping over your fuel pump, your water pump, anything like that that needs to get changed over for this.
What about gaskets and stuff? I should probably call Luke and get new gaskets.
If you go to Young & Son, they'll have them on the shelf today in Indy. You can get the entire blower gasket set.
Okay.
Just grab them while you're on your way out.
Yep.
But it's all going to come out as one go.
Okay.
It's a little heavy, so I'd try to plan your...
Is it about 100 pounds?
Oh yeah, I've got one in the bus.
Well, it's going to be even more with all the dressing on it.
Right.
So...
We'll take the bumper out of the way.
Swinging the bumper is a big help. I'd have your table set up nearby and ready.
You can just go...
Yep. And I'd probably have both you guys ready. One of you for that and one to
each
deal
end.
with this.
Yeah, okay.